crowd here. We got flags,
Look at this.
A's, and blue. You know, I was just at the Golden Nugget with Tony Miller and Aaron Kessler, and they said Michigan has no chance to win tonight.
I think they may be biased.
They said no chance, Mike. No chance.
They have some chance. I don't know if it's a great chance because I love A&M.
He's got it. He's got my guys at the long bar.
You also, I mean, you were at Detroit. You know all these coaches. How hard is it for them to schedule and get games? They're never going to get a home game against the big guy. We know that.
Well, let me tell you, I know it's years ago when I coached, obviously. My first year, we beat Michigan. When I got the job there, Michigan happened to be on the schedule. They had an outstanding team, outstanding coach, Johnny Orr. They had a great player in Campanella Russell, and we beat them 70-59. I'll never forget that moment. We beat them, and that was the end of any chance I ever had of getting the opportunity to play Michigan. We beat Michigan State several times.
Quick question. You're a DC guy.
Yes, sir.
Can the Wizards win the East?
Yes.
Because if they can, Wizards to win the title right now are 75-1. If they get to the finals and you have 75-1, you can get super creative there, man.
Here's the thing about the Wizards. They can beat anybody in the East. Excuse me. They can do it. They can beat anybody in the East.
75.
But I am such a defeatist Washington fan. Ask me that, I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. But if I were objective about my Washington teams, I would say yes, absolutely they can.
I think the biggest advantage for Kentucky here, obviously, is these games are in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like it's going to be Rupp Arena South. It's going to be a home court advantage of sorts for Kentucky this weekend. I think Nevada could give Kentucky a hell of a game. I think Kansas State's going to give Kentucky a hell of a game with Dean Wade coming back from the foot injury. I'm talking about a 6'10 forward who didn't play. Kansas State's leading scorer and rebounder didn't play in the last two games. He's going to play against Kentucky. I think the Wildcats are going to struggle.
It's time to follow the money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, Sirius XM Channel 204.
All right, here we go. Thanks for checking in as we are live in Las Vegas on a Monday morning. Mitch and Paul, South Point Sportsbook is your spot. Plenty to recap from the weekend that was, and a ton of games to look forward to. Baseball starts this week, and we have the Final Four coming up on Saturday. We will begin with the late game yesterday in college basketball, the final Elite Eight game, Duke versus Kansas. That was a very high level of basketball being played with just tons of talent on the court. Kansas, now, they covered the 3.5. They won it outright, so they cashed the plus $1.55 on the money line, and because of overtime, the game also went over. That game had just a little bit of everything, where you had so many chances for all four basically plays, Paul, to come in and actually cash, because if Grayson Allen's shot goes in at the buzzer, that's going to be Duke winning on the money line, and it's going to stay under. And then just weird thing, if Svi doesn't hit the three-pointer to tie it up, I mean, it was all over the place yesterday in that game.
Terrible. I would have middled the game if Allen's basket would have counted. Duke money line and then Kansas second half. I can't believe that didn't stay down. Bad beat if you had the under. It goes to overtime and gets there. A high level of basketball played at the end. Everyone making a shot late. And that's the Kansas team that Self thought he had. He couldn't. Remember, they were so bad early on in the non-conference. He was calling them out on a weekly basis. And even with Azubuike in foul trouble, and he fouls out, the foul call on Carter was huge.
That was a really bad call.
That was a bad call, but although Duke got a kind whistle for much of the game,
I agree on both parts there. I mean, the Carter thing was, to me, they call the block charge thing. They call it a charge like 90% of the time. They always get caught up in the momentum, and that
was easy. That was easy.
That was an easy one, right? And he has to leave the game at that point. And then in overtime too, there's no Azubuike, like you said. Do you guys know that you have Marvin Bagley down low? Do you remember him? He's probably going to be the first or second pick in the NBA draft. Kind of had a decent year as a freshman for your team. You ignored him for almost all of overtime. And then Malik Newman went nuts. He scored 13 points in OT for Kansas.
That's been the story for, 5 years or longer with Duke. When in doubt, they just chuck a three.
Yep.
It's frustrating.
And Allen tried to play, hey, this could be my last game. I'm the senior here. I'm not going to go out like this. Give me the ball. I need it every possession down the stretch.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
But the wild thing about that is, again, if Svi doesn't hit that three to tie it up at 72, Duke gets that rebound. They have a 3-point lead. Kansas will foul. They're not going to pull Leonard Hamilton and not foul.
He's wide open too. What are you doing?
Yeah, I know.
3-point game with 20 seconds.
But if he misses that shot, Duke gets the rebound, there is a chance Duke actually covers the game.
Yep.
And the power rating on these teams, we'll get into Villanova and Duke coming up, Villanova and Kansas coming up in the next segment, but how Duke was a 3.5-point favorite anyway is beyond me. I mean, that's a huge number, but it almost, again, if Speed doesn't make that three, who knows? They might cover the game.
Yep, right. That's how it goes. You saw that all weekend with what happened in all these games and the Michigan finish and all. Oh, my God. I didn't want it to end. I wanted to see multiple overtimes.
Yeah.
And some people are freaking out because it's running into Stormy Daniels. Yeah, that scenario too.
I saw that on Twitter, actually, yeah.
Yes.
Like, let's end this ball game. I know it's good, but we can't wait to watch what she had to say.
Right.
Including our very own Brent Musburger on Twitter.
Yeah, right.
Go check that out for yourselves earlier today when you have a chance. So that was the late game yesterday, and it was a fun game to watch. Again, just so much talent on the court. It was sickening. Kansas gets the job done. No,
that's a good point. The talent on the floor.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I mean, it was absurd in that game. So the early game was Villanova and Texas Tech, and Villanova did not play their A game at all yesterday, and that's a lot because of Texas Tech, and defensively they're so good. But also, if you had Texas Tech in that game, plus the points went off at 6 here at the South Point, or if you're Chris Beard, how pissed off are you after that game, just shaking your head like, how many point-blank shots did they actually miss? I think they were 6 of 21 at one point on bunnies in the game.
That's the best team to me, and it's not close. That was their, C game, and they're up 15. We've talked about it all year. Anytime they want a basket, they can post up Brunson, and it's like stealing, and it's not fair. So they come into this game shooting 50% from three during the tournament, and the number one team shooting three on the season, and they go 4 of 24, and they still win by double digits. Give me a break. I mean, this team is unbelievable. The fact that might be their C game, and they still win by 12, and they did a great job defensively, but the depth, and there's 6 guys in double figures, and Pascal was huge. The West Virginia game, the dunks, the blocks. You get Spellman's hitting threes. It's not fair.
Yeah.
And they're like Golden State. Again, the big run's coming, and Texas Tech cuts it down to 5. Bam, couple baskets, get some stops, and there it is.
Well, that's a crazy thing, too, is that they have so many. Like, Jay Wright figured out this, and Chris Beard talked about it before the game. He's like, he's a wizard. He's a guy who created small ball at the college level, and they have so many guards that can handle the rock. And then you have Spellman, who's out there at 6'11", and he's not bashful whatsoever. No. If he's open, that ball's going up.
By their standards, they were terrible. Still win by 12.
Yep.
Amazing. 34-4, and then most of the losses were when Pascal was out, and there were other injuries.
Booth had an injury.
Booth got hurt too. So, and it's just. They run it like a pro offense. I can post him up. I can kick it out for 3. I got the bigs down low. I got the bigs who can. It's like watching an NBA team. Mm-hmm. The big guys can step out and knock down a 3. Oh, man.
So they covered, and that stayed under. And by the way, no chance of going over in that game. Never had to sweat that one. It was going to stay under the entire time.
But great season. I mean, Beard, you want to talk about ahead of schedule?
Oh, they are going to be. I mean, if we could bet this right now, like how many times in the next 5 years will Chris Beard be in the Sweet 16 or Elite 8 with that program? It's going to happen, man. Yeah. He's that good of a coach.
Yes.
So you said that about Villanova's offense, which is interesting because I thought that kind of the same thing about Loyola as I'm watching them again on Saturday. Take apart Kansas State. They won up as a 1-point dog here at the South Point, and they won by 18 points. In control almost the entire time. Bill Simmons tweeted this out, and I was thinking the same exact thing. He said, as endearing as Loyola Chicago's run has been, they've also played the most sophisticated, entertaining offensive basketball of anyone. It's a little 2014 Spurs-ish. Nova's really good with an excellent point guard, but even they don't seem as advanced.
Yeah.
Their offense is just what he has done here with this program and with this team is it's the definition of team basketball, and it's beautiful, man.
Yeah, shot 57%, and look at all the easy looks. And again, it's someone different every single game. This time, Saturday, it was Richardson. So you had Ingram in game 1, then you had Custer, and then Towns was great against Nevada, and Richardson was the star in the win, but never a sweat, an easy blowout win. At William Hill, 3 people had it, 100-1 to win the region. There was a big bet here we'll get to coming up, and then Vinny Meatballs, his buddy who's got him part of the field, at a big price. He says he's not going to hedge. He's going to let it ride. He's going to go with Sister Jean.
Sure. 16-point win. I think I said 18-point win yesterday or Saturday was 78-62. It's and look at this, by the way. Tweet from Joe Sheehan, Final Four teams in the 2010s. Horizon League has 2, Missouri Valley 2, Colonial, West Coast 1, Pac-12 1 Final Four team since 2010. That is just unbelievable.
Oh, God.
And again, mid-majors can't play with the big boys, huh? Yeah, they sure can't.
Oh, there's nothing you can say anymore.
No, you can't.
That was gone a long time ago.
Yeah, it should have been, but it rears its ugly head for some people. They just won't buy in. Loyola, they stink. You've never seen them play. Quite frankly, I mean, how many times did I see them play this year? How many times were they on TV?
That's why full marks to Tony Miller, because he told us when the tournament started, wrong team was favored in the Loyola-Miami game.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to make his power ratings and say they should be, because they're not on television. Even that Arch Madness tournament, only the championship game's on TV.
Yeah, that's the only one.
So he knew how good they were. And then they went to Florida and won, got blown out at Boise in the non-conference, but beat Florida on the road, and then had a little rough stretch there where they lost a couple games. They were actually, well, you got to be lucky, too. They were down and out in the first game of their conference tournament. I think Northern Iowa had them down 8 in the second half, and Custer couldn't make a shot, but they come back to win. But that, yes, I can't wait to talk to Coach Thorpe tomorrow about how they play, and he thinks Odom at UMBC's the next Stevens. Well, what's Porter Mosier then? Oh, Jesus. Beautiful basketball. And the lost art, the pump fake. Pump fakes all over.
Constantly.
Kick it out, either drive, dish, easy basket, or she hit a wide open three. But every game they're shooting 50%.
Yeah, Dave Malinsky tweeted this out over the weekend, too. There was a great read before the tournament started in the Chicago Tribune, a write-up on Porter Mosier, how he was an assistant to Rick Majerus for a ton of years.
Yeah.
And, that'll tell you why he's such a great coach, because Majerus was an absolute genius. He could come up with game plans to stop anybody.
The Arizona game, the triangle in 2?
Is one of the biggest mismatches of all time.
Oh, unbelievable.
No, they had no answer. With that team, the defending champs, and Simon and Bibby and all those players, they got absolutely humiliated by Majerus.
Yeah.
So that's part of the reason why Mosier is so good.
I say it worked out, though. You get Loyola against Michigan, and then you get the big boys going at it after that, Villanova.
Yeah, a little bit of everything here. You get the underdog, and then 3 blue bloods. Michigan is an absolute blue blood, and Beeline's the man.
Yep.
But then on the other side, 2 1s. By the way, this is what it's like now. And so do Loyola players actually look like basketball players when they're in the hotel or when they're in the airport? This is after the game yesterday, talking about nobody knows who they are.
I mean, it's because we all believe in each other. I mean, for me and Ben and for everybody, like, we're a bunch of guys that everybody laughed at us when we thought we were going to play Division I basketball. Nobody thought that we could do any of this.
I'll tell you a story. In the hotel yesterday, a girl came up and said, "Hey, can I get a picture of you guys?" She goes, Here, mister, can you take the picture?" She handed the phone to him.
And she goes, "Are you on the team?" And I was like, come on, man. But hey, we believe in ourselves. And
there you go. Yeah.
Great story. And they were just awesome against Kansas State.
Yeah.
Now against Michigan, I mean, generally this is where eventually, right, like when an 11 seed or somebody like this, they get this far, eventually we see the blowout coming. This Loyola team appears to me like they're as good, probably better than any other 11 that's gotten to this point.
Yep. And early money on Loyola.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's right. They thought it was too much.
So Michigan's a big favorite. We'll touch on that coming up in the next segment. And Michigan and Florida State. Man, if you had Michigan minus the points in that game, and they went off as a 4.5-point favorite.
3.5 was available.
Was it really?
Very important.
Yeah, I saw it was 4, quite a few spots.
3.5 was available, and it was here at the South Point as well, a couple other places. I know Thule tweeted that out and other people. So, oh, my God, I can't believe it.
There were 5s out there, according to Reynolds.
And for that dope on Twitter, first of all, it has nothing to do with the bet. It's just I've never seen that before, where a team refuses to foul and gives up with a trip to the Final Four on the line with 11 seconds. We just saw Purdue foul down 15 with 45 seconds. And they's like, nah, we're good. That's it. Collect the jerseys. Down 4 with 11 seconds, and they say, nah.
Well, do we ever – so we're going to play the Leonard Hamilton, just the beautiful audio from this guy coming up in a second. But do we know right there, if you're on the court and you're playing for the Seminoles, are you hearing the coaches scream at you, don't foul, end the game, or do you just not know? Like, do you just tap out on your own?
They all tapped out. No, they didn't bother to chase them.
Like, that's the thing is, like...
One guy made an effort, and then
I have to question basketball, like, IQ all the time. How do you not know, like, per basketball instincts, how much time is on the clock, and if you miss and they get the rebound, you have to... It's automatic. it's like it's a no-brainer. Like, you have to go over there and foul them. You don't just tap out of the game when there's 11, 12 seconds left and say, okay, we're going to lose by 4 points.
And they're one of the
It's
worst.
absurd.
They're one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the country.
Sure.
And we've seen comeback after comeback after comeback.
Well, didn't we just watch Virginia down 4 with a second?
Exactly
That's a good
right.
point. Again,
Against
excellent
Louisville.
point.
Yes, yes. So here was just, I mean, Leonard Hamilton could not have had a worse look when he talked to Dana Jacobson after the loss.
Take me through the final seconds of this game. Why didn't you guys foul?
What are you talking?
Crowd here. We got flags,
Look at this.
and blue. I was just at the goal.